Oh, this is super cool. I love this. He's got this shrine right here. I didn't even realize. I kind of looked at this. I'm like, oh, this is fine. No, this is TheoRy's shrine. And he's continuing to build imps to blow things up. That's so cool. The upper right in the red. He is our Vanguard player. He's playing from Australia. It's Probe. Bottom right in the blue. He's again probably the best player from North America. Maybe, just maybe. He's the Infernal player for Aftermath. It's TheoRy. And look what we got here. We got Shroud Conclave Lowgrounds. There's not a single conch expand that we're seeing. We're not getting into that parting build, but remember, TheoRy is part of the Brain Trust. Albino Theory and Parting define, in a large part, define the Infernal meta. Oh, my big metal ball just fell off my desk, hit the floor. What is that thumping sound? Theory, Albino, and Parting, for a large part, do define this meta. So it's a wall in the net. That's not a wall. That's unfortunate. I thought he was trapped in. Could have sworn this was a wall. Apparently not. So, Brute, gone. On the map, is going to start creeping around a little bit. If they first 2 units, the dog can't harass nearly as much. A natural, of course, done for Probe. He goes down. You go power build this pretty much as quickly as possible. Barracks behind. And for now, the dog's going to try to be annoying, get on top of the scout, get damage done to it. And by the way, these resource camps have such a really annoying habit of aggroing onto Gaunts even when they're not the first thing that gets it. It's very, very obnoxious. But for right now, we're going to see the Brute is forced to split. And actually, TheoRy makes a bit of a mistake where he should have split it manually. Instead, it splits automatically. And that does mean that he doesn't get the bonus white health on the Fiends. They spawn without any white health. A little bit unfortunate there for TheoRy, but 2 resource camps in the middle gives him the vision camp and the speed camp, and we're going to start to see the snowball happen just a little bit more. He does have to tag this before it goes down. He doesn't get it. TheoRy. My goodness, TheoRy. Mistakes were made. The main base again. We have, of course, we have ore being mined by Probe, but nothing really on the way just yet. Now, the speed camp's going to go down, and TheoRy's, again, not microing this incredibly actively, so he will lose a couple Fiends, but it's about the money as it is much about like maintaining Fiends at this point, because you know that there's going to be a sentry post. There it is on the way, so you're probably not going to break the Vanguard player early with this. So instead, what you want to do is you want to suck up all the money from the map. Power yourself into that third base fairly quickly. Do we have a... Gonna have to see. I do prefer this third base for Infernal players. Vanguard can get away for the most part. They can get away with only mining gold for quite a bit because, hey, or mining very little ore because, look, each Lancer's 100 gold. It's not very expensive, and it's only gold. It's no ore. So really, you can get away with a lot of it, just mining enough to make sure you get your upgrades, and that's that. As an Infernal player, you need all the Therium you can possibly get. Doombringers are 150, Hellborn are 250, Magmadons are 150. Like, you need to start to develop your Therium mining just about as quickly as possible. So I do tend to like this base a little bit more for that. Of course, it's the expansion pattern's a little bit easier to take this base. So we're gonna just have to see. And of course, if you take this base, you want to start to take this double Therium patch pretty much as quickly as possible, because again, Therium is incredibly important. But for now, 2 bases up, third base not on the way just yet. There we go. There's the Greater Shrine done. And do we see a Shroud still, or do we see a Doombringer out just yet? I don't think so. Now, getting this health camp, 75 Therium right there, is pretty important. That 75 Therium is the difference between getting your Doombringer out pretty quickly and not. So the Lancers are here though, and that's a bit of a problem. All these Fiends cannot really fight this easily. Man, thank you so much for the raid. Hope your broadcast went well of this. But yeah, now it's 5 Lancers at the front. Do we have the upgraders? It's still researching. So the upgrade's not there just yet. Oh, no, never mind, it is. It's actually upgrade on the way for the Exos behind this. But with the static defense in the wall right here, it seems like somewhat reasonable. And by the way, the reason you're not seeing any Gaunts is because they're on the other side. And Overcharge is going to have to get popped, which means that, yeah, these Bobs don't die very quickly. But it is a bit of a nice Sim City, actually. The Gaunts can hide around, but one of them will fall. Meanwhile, Lancer's on the other side. I think... No. None of them died. And hey, the health camp's right there to go heal on up, which is, as an Infernal player, just a little bit impressive. Tiny bit. I'm not going to balance one. It's fine. But now Lancers are going to try to target down some of these Bobs. They're going to knock a couple of them down, starting to burn down the rest. These Lancers are not enough damage. Not enough, not just yet. So more Gaunts get damage done, and the Lancers are getting pulled back. So pressure release valve now available for our Infernal player, but he's kind of lacking this third base is the problem. One of the reasons that Infernal players have been argued as, or Infernal's been argued as being maybe a little bit stronger is their economy scales a little bit faster. Ah, very nice. He gets the veteran Lancer on that. But Infernal economy has been proven to be, you can develop it a little bit faster. For third base by 4 minutes was something that we saw Noni do, fairly common across a couple players. But TheoRy's not going for that. This is 6 minutes and 5:30 as his third base gets started. He's committing to the defense, committing to this Doombringer, and committing to keep his opponent at home. Which again does slow the economy down just a tiny bit. Oh, and the fun thing about this, so Bobs are pulled. Again, I don't think there's an overcharge available at the moment. Mass repair is nice. But the Bobs, because they're pulled like this, because of how the AI works, they're actually body blocking their own Lancers. So if you see what TheoRy's doing, he's kind of going across and playing on either side of the Bob blob to make sure that he can get as much damage as possible. Oh man, this is just, you pick up, you de-aggro, you pop back out, you re-aggro in, and this is actually a ton of damage. Bobs are starting to fall in significant numbers. Yes, there are only 3 Gaunts from the original 8. That is very true. And now with the Exos out, it's a little bit more awkward. By the way, there's a third base done. So even as this is annoying you and as the damage is getting done here, it is slowing things down. But now, of course, we do see the ritual shrine is done. No Shadow Cleft. Yeah, just getting. Yeah, there we go. That's the Shadow Cleft. Just getting started. So Weavers are going to be the order of the day. Exploding Imps are maybe going to be the order of the day. I don't know what was in that one. Not sure whether Imps were loaded up or not. But Exploding Imps maybe? Exploding Imps. Drop. Yep, Exploding Imps. There we go. We're going to start to blow this Luminite line up. But actually, there we go. It's very slow from TheoRy, actually. So it's not going to be really that effective of a trade. Now, while the Doombringer's dead, everything's going to fall behind. This was not really what our Infernal player was looking for. That's expensive to get like 3 Bobs. Not really worthwhile. Meanwhile, Lancer's on the other side. This is a level 2 Lancer right here leading the charge. That is a ton more damage. That's a ton more HP. Imps on the back, or Fiends on the backside aren't going to do anything on this. And, well, this is all going to go down. This army right here coming out of TheoRy is just not the right position. Doombringers are going to pop up, drop down, run around once again. But there's not a lot of army here from TheoRy at the moment. Maybe it's not enough for Probe to break. Sorry. I wish I could turn off Edge Scroll, but I just can't. There's another Doombringer on the map, of course, and we saw that. But there's a Weaver out. It's not really moving onto the map just yet. Running through the center is a recipe for disaster in part. I mean, look at this. Okay, he's going to go north side. That's fine. There are Weavers on the map. You know, that is something. But we are really starting to hit the Vanguard timing at this point. No medtechs on the map just yet. If there are, they're back at home. So there's no way to heal this army from kind of the slow dot damage. You know, every Weaver shot is 10% off the top over 10 seconds. So it is a little bit slow. But this drop on the other side. Oh, this is pretty undefended. And those bombs are going to be actually, again, not incredible. Most of these Bobs are going to stay alive. Mass self-repair means that they really shouldn't go down. Although apparently they will. And the X's at home are actually not getting enough done. So TheoRy does force his opponent back just a little bit. Gets damage done right there. And I kind of like this imp Gaunt drop, right? Not just an imp drop to blow things up, but no, you blow things up and the stuff that just gets tagged and doesn't die. Well, the Gaunts on top, it kind of kill the rest. So it allows for lots of speed spawns. It actually is a pretty cool idea. But this army right here, now there's no health camp for it to go attack into, and it hasn't taken it. So this army is somewhat time capped. It does not heal. In fairness, neither does the Infernal army, but they do have Shred to heal back on, so that's fine. Fourth base is done for TheoRy, and another reason this is hard to attack into is that Imps are here, and they can turn themselves into Exploding Boys and go from there. And where are our medtechs? It feels like we're missing the next round attack from our Vanguard player, but in fairness, he's only mining off 7 workers on Therium right now as a... Oh no, Probe. He's stuck trying to kill the health camp, and he just lost so much on that one. TheoRy jumps right on top of him. Because again, the health camp's what's important, but both players can benefit from this. Weaver should have some lashes available, should be able to abduct some things, but I guess they're away, away, away. And the problem is right now we talk about medtech, we talk about exos. As the bombs are going to go down, that's going to be, oh man, that's a decent amount of exos falling as well, and production. There's not a lot of therium mining coming out of our Vanguard player. He just doesn't really have it available to him. So medtechs are expensive. Exos are expensive. He's not really able to afford it. By taking this base means there's no therium. He doesn't have a therium refinery on this patch. He doesn't have a therium refinery in the main base either to kind of make his therium mining a little bit more efficiently. Now it's gonna, oh sorry, no, these are units. So Probe is kind of stuck. He had this powerful timing, right? That was absolutely true, but he's kind of stuck on the mid game. He's not really developing his tech the way. There we go. There's the refinery going down, and this is very highly enriched, by the way. So he's gonna mine a ton. He's gonna boost his therium mining pretty significantly. Evacs are gonna be on the way as well. Atlases, and he's just skipping medtechs. So he's got mech bay and machine lab on the way. So that, like, the point of this is Atlases is a bunch of imps are gonna, there we go. That's the hit you're looking for. That's what Theory's been fighting for quite a while. As he will, I guess, hold a little bit longer. He's got a decent amount of fiends on this. These bobs that are being made are going to go down. Like, now we're starting to see some medtechs get added, but it does feel a little bit late. You know, adding in that healing is really, really nice. I don't know if we have any medtech upgrades necessarily. But Probe's on 5 bases now. So he's on 5 Luminite bases. That's the problem, is therium mining is only just now starting to improve significantly. 4-4. Still nothing on this base. Still nothing on this base. So that is that. Does feel like we'd like to see, again, I'm kind of in this similar situation as well, where I would like to see Probe, or not Probe, excuse me, see Theory go and take this base for therium mining as well. Again, it's just one of those things where as the game goes later, I mean, we see a decent amount of brutes, but as this game goes later, we see this army that our Vanguard player has been making, or Infernal player has been making. This is, what is this, 5 Hellborn, right? That's 1,300 therium or so. That's a ton of gaunts. Weavers are expensive. 6 Hellborn, so yeah, like 1,500 therium. Like, this is a very expensive army, and realistically, if you want to fight against a Vanguard player, you need to have that very expensive army. You're not going to be able to survive on tier 2 tech. You need a ton of ore. So we have noticed that there's a reason that this base was taken first, but the main base is going to start to diminish. The therium mining is going to start. He never stops, but he is oversaturated. 6 is means you will eventually start to saturate down. Ooh, nice catch there. A couple exos are going to go down to all the fiends. But it looks like Theory is going to slow things down a little bit longer. It is, I've been saying this for a while, it is very scary to attack with this army. It's a decent amount of Hellborn. Sure, he's got this one Weaver as well. But attacking into the, I mean, this is so many Hellborn. So we're going to see, yeah, the Atlas is just dead immediately. We're going to see the Vision Camp, of course, going to get taken by our blue player. But this has to be a slow push. This army has very little to tank for it. I mean, it's got Gaunts do not tank for this. It's got a couple brutes that want to go to the front, but 3 brutes, even with the soul, what's it called? The soul sunder, something like that. That gives them a little bit more armor. It's not going to tank enough. And in fact, they're all just going to turn into fiends anyways, looking for a run by, which, hey, there's 2 exo turrets. That's not enough to defend this, I don't think. So Evac wants to drop an Atlas on the high ground, and not going to really get all that much done. But of course, Shadow Flyers are going to try to say something about this one. And, well, Evac just has to return to hangar because, well, that's scary. But this run by. This is, we saw the power that Akram had on his fiend run bys in the late game. No, make no mistake about it. This looks like a bunch of lings, and this should therefore be cheap. It's not cheap. This was like 7 Hellborn. That is or 7 brutes. That is a significant amount. And we will see. You notice, by the way, I mean, this is splash damage. That does, the exo turret is splash damage. But even still, a lot of bobs are going to go down. There's no overcharge. And a fight's happening at the front as well. And Hellborn, they're a little bit exposed. So the Lancers are going to try to get on top of that one. You really have to take this fight now. But it is so much burst damage on the Hellborn. You need to take an angle. You need to have an Atlas. Meanwhile, all the bobs on the left side, they've lost everything. They're all going to go down. The exos are dead. The exo turret's dead. This base is probably going to fall. And in the middle of the map as well, Theory is owning this side as well. He's got every base he could possibly take. The Dragon's out now. And the dragon, whether you want to use this for harass, whether you want to use this for main army fighting, both are totally valid. You want to use this as a snipe. Yeah, that's what you want to use. So use it to snipe these Atlas down. Now, of course, this is going to get shielded unkillable for 10 seconds. It's going to take 20 Hellborn shots to knock that down. So one Hellborn exposed to the front line. The battle line here is not incredible. And TheoRy's going to have to back up just a little bit. Drops Infest on top of everything. But he does have to back up right now. This army is slow. It is killable. Now, there we go. A bunch of Fiends are going to go down once again on the right side, trying to knock this base down, not allowing it to mine. By the way, 25 out of 12. The main base is mined out. Natural's going to mine out fairly quickly right now as a bunch of imps are going to try to explode this army. Solid shot, to be totally honest. But, again, you got to be so careful with this dragon. In the Infernal Mirror, the dragons are kind of fine. They live for quite a while. They're hard to kill. Against Vanguard, Exos kill them very quickly. The dragon is not nearly as strong as a mainline battle unit. Atlas is from the low ground onto the high ground. They've got vision on top of this. They got veterancy as well. So a couple of these Hellborn are going to start to fall. The positioning of TheoRy is a little bit awkward. The Exos are going to try to get on top of things, but going in this ramp is incredibly difficult. And this dragon just kind of fighting out of range, just in range of one Exo at a time, knocking those down. Means that TheoRy has the high ground. Means that TheoRy's got a Shroud Stone right now. He's got his, oh, this is super cool. I love this. He's got this shrine right here. I didn't even realize. I kind of looked at this. I'm like, oh, this is fine. No, this is TheoRy's shrine. And he's continuing to build imps to blow things up. That's so cool. This is, the proxy shrine is the most Giga Chad move. This is so cool. Now, at this point, that means this base area mining is not really possible. Medtechs are keeping everything alive, sure, but there's so many Hellborn on the map. So, as soon as these Atlas die, I mean, there's really not a lot of there's not a good solution. The Atlas are dead. One gets picked up at the end of the day, and I don't think we have Shadow Flyers. But again, with these Weavers, you have Lash. You have the ability to just abduct the Atlas. One more shot should knock this one down. Hey, there's healing. That's very nice. But there we go. Evac's gonna retreat back home. Shadow Flyers are gonna knock that thing down. Preempt, because why not? But at this point, I think TheoRy's done enough to break this down. It's really just medtechs at this point. There's not a ton of high tech anymore. Atlases are starting to level up, of course, absolutely, but they will die as they stand, and the shots are just not good enough. The healing's there. And yeah, Probe, good game. Well played indeed. TheoRy takes game one. There's going to be a command post first. Outer Probe here in this game number 2. And this really has more and more started to become the Vanguard staple. Where you open up a command post first, you get a couple barracks off that, you go from there. Luciferon showed us a really cool build against a laser that I guess he wasn't super confident in because we didn't see it in the final game, and it seemed to be working pretty good for him. We're specifically on Broken Crown. I don't think you can do it on this map, but specifically on Broken Crown, he got like his third, he had his third base before like 3 minutes and just went ultra greed on it. But I feel like that is also something that has to be a kind of a meta build, because certainly a lot of Infernal players are going to get pretty aggressive, would get aggressive on that. It's something that I think works really well against a one Conclave opener, like Conclave, Shrine Conclave, the laser opener. But if you're going to go 1-1, which is what, say, TheoRy is doing this game, I don't think it's as good, because there's just going to be a lot more Fiends on the map. There's going to be a lot more scouting, a lot more aggression on the map. It's a lot more punishable. So, again, I don't think it's viable for Probe on this map to do that, but still pretty cool ideas. Sentry Post goes down. One barracks is there. Second one. I'm so sorry about the edge pan. Second one, we're going to see that eventually. Command, but like, we know what's going to come out of Probe at this point. There's not just one way to play, but actually, let's take a look at it's 4 on Therium. Is this a hanger play? Is this a 2-base Hornet play? I don't know. I mean, it's likely just going to be, well, he's upgrading. Yeah, this is okay. This is a 2-base Hornet play. Love to see it. Very different. Very different play coming out of Probe in game number 2. We're not just seeing him do the same thing over and over and over again. And now it's going to be really incumbent upon our Infernal player to scout out exactly what's happening. Because if you look at this, you're like, okay, well, sure, how do you do this differently? Well, the first hit of the Hornet is really scary, even if it's only hitting at 4 minutes and not like the 230 maximum possible timing. Of course, adding the solar habitat on top, it does speed things up. But when you're on like a 1-1 opener like this, you're going to have maybe 6 gaunts by the time that happens. And luckily, there's a Doombringer, so you can do something. But problem is also, talk about there being a Doombringer. Well, Hornets can shoot the Doombringer down. It does cause problems. But the trick is, there's going to be a shield available to this Hornet, which means that gaunts just die. You can chase a lot of them down. So the Hornet's going to see the Doombringer. Doombringer will see the Hornet. And that means this drop shouldn't get a ton done. In fact, that really is what the context of this is, well, you got to drop the gaunts. Well, actually, just going to recall back home. So this rush, which is what it is, by the way, this was pretty much as fast as possible. Hey, like little Parting can get it out like in the base at 4 minutes, not 4:30. But this was rushing. This, make no mistake about it, is now been totally neutered by this single Hornet. It's also going to force a ton of Shroud Stones, which some people might argue Shroud Stones are cheap. Sure, they only cost 25 Illuminate, but they cost another 50 for the imp, and they cost mining time. They're not quite as cheap as people make them out to be. And it's going to force multiple Shroud Stones in each base. It's going to delay the third base for quite a bit. It gives all the map control in the world for Probe at this point. And that's not to say the game is over. But I do like the speed run by the way. So it looks like we're going to see Mac actually coming out of Probe in this game too. Notice how much focus he's putting on the Therium. He's putting a Therium reactor like immediately on this patch, cracking it open as quickly as possible. And if you're going bio, if you're going Lance or something, you don't need a ton of Therium. You only need it for the upgrades. So by going and taking this natural like this tells us this is going to be a much higher tech. And I said, it's going to be mech, and that might be eventually the case, but for right now, it's just 2 factory Hornet. And this is one of the, or 2 hangar Hornet. And this is one of those things where you really do need, a solution that's not just guns. The Hornet count at this point will become very, very strong. You can go, there's some players on ladder that really believe, oh, there we go, there's the shield. There's some players on ladder that might, I think that one might actually go down, but Lancer's on top of this as well. I mean, this is a powerful time coming out of Probe. As you're gonna try to bounce things down, they're just gonna return back to base. This one might die. Did any of them die? No, just barely surviving. So there are bills, as I was gonna say, that so you do this, you get Biokinetics Lab, and you get Nano Swarm, and it's MedTech Vulcan with a bunch of stuff below it, just with like Lancers below it. MedTech Hornet, excuse me. And the Hornets just don't die. I am not the only stream for this tournament, by the way, as Poor Foreign is asking. Attico is streaming. I believe he is, at least. His Discord says he is. And there were a bunch of people casting earlier. I think they might all be done now. I know Lidacore plans on covering tomorrow. He just actually asked me to go cast. Oh, God, this is bad. So, one of these Hornets may go to... return to Hangar Micro says, absolutely not. That's 8 gaunts. That's a Doombringer. That is 250 Therium down the drain. Very, very expensive right now from an Infernal player that cannot take the Therium base that's only on... He hasn't even cracked the second Therium opening at this point. Like, TheoRy is in trouble. TheoRy's in a really rough spot. He did get this Ritual Shrine. And there we go. There's the Twilight Spire on the way. Double Twilight Spire on the way, which is what you need. Again, against this number of Hornets, you cannot... You have to have an answer. Gaunts are not an answer. As Probe has forgotten his second solar habitat, so only one of these is is producing as quickly as possible. But at this point, he's getting ready for the 4th base. That meat farm is blocking things, but if you see how quickly it dies. And now we're going to see the second Therium setup get ready here. And I think the way we look at this is understand that TheoRy is not going to win the game in the next 5 minutes. It's 8:29. He's not going to win the game in the next 3 to 5 minutes. He doesn't really have a timing available to him. The Hornets are just way, way too strong. So instead, what he's playing for, as the Hornets are going to think about getting on top, they're too many Gons at this point, and with the Shroud Stones on top, too much damage. He's playing to win 10 minutes from now. He's playing to go and take bases and slowly expand out on the map because, yeah, Hornets are great, but they're not, especially without medtechs, maybe they're not the best straight up army. So you need to get into something else, like say Vulcans and Atlases and things like that. And that does give a little bit of, a tiny bit of space for TheoRy to go and take bases and do things. And now he's got Shadow Flyers starting to find their way onto the map again. Double Shadows or a double Twilight Spire does help out with that. So the economy of TheoRy is catching up. He's not going to keep this base alive, by the way. So many Hornets. Apparently Probe is just playing mono battle, is what's happening right now. Oh. That's the problem with Shadow Flyers as well. So finally, one of these high veterancy Vulcans goes down. Shadow Flyers are solid, but you really have to make a point to get white health on them. Is the thing. You really have to make a point to make sure that they're survivable, because when we're looking at Hornets in this number, as now we're going to get healed back up and return back to the battle, you really want to make sure that they, because Hornets will just target them down. Hornets anti-ground is strong, but their anti-air is really strong. So you really need to make sure that you make a point to go and have white health on them, have something lead for them, do whatever. Get the Hornets to actually be aggroed on your ground army, then attack, because otherwise you'll just lose them. And that is 2 Shadow Flyers is 100 Therium. Like, it is expensive as hell. So now the middle of the map, of course, has been taken by our Vanguard player. He can't quite saturate the entire thing quite as quickly. Notice here, he's got a couple bobs. He's mining a ton of Therium, not as much Luminite out of this. But again, what he needs is ore. He needs ore for Vulcans and Atlases and the medtechs as well. Nanoswarms ready. I'm gonna assume is why he's making them. And this army is a pain and a half to deal with. Now, of course, having weavers is nice. You can abduct things, but this is not enough weavers for this, and there's still a lot of power. So we have a ton of Shroud Stones ready. And once the Shroud Stones are ready, I think what we're gonna see here is this Magadon's gonna try to break this open. We're gonna just have a prolonged siege coming out of our Infernal player. There are Shroud Stones, but one of them, oh man, that just caught out immediately. These Shroud Stones die. Yes, Shroud Stone static defense is solid, but when you have Hornets of this magnitude, you just do not knock this down. Like, it feels like we almost need to see one manifested. More on the way, more get canceled, more gets killed. And you can't push the middle when the Hornets are just threatening this right side so hard. Some more Shroud Stones will fall, and again, they're just gonna have to sit on top of this. So part of this area has been broken down. Hellborn are starting to hit the field. And Hellborn are kind of, you want Weaver Hellborn really to deal with this mech army. Hellborn actually do, a lot of damage. They can start to knock down some of the static defense, and then Weavers abduct. But I don't really, TheoRy taking this fight feels really hard. It feels tremendously hard. There we go. Nanoswarm on top of things. Like, things start dying. You don't do damage. I will say the one thing is there's not a lot of air to ground anti-air or ground to air anti-air. So the only anti-air on these on the Shadow Flyers is the Hornets themselves. As the vision cam goes down, so that's gonna keep our Vanguard player just a little bit safer from things. Like again, like the Hellborn sees, there's a Shroud Stone that has been manifested. This is pretty much the only time that our Vanguard player doesn't want to fight quite as much, but he's still got like tons of Vulcans, and that Shroud Stone will manifest is going to go down very, very quickly here. TheoRy needs to build a concave. He needs to start abducting some of these units, and ideally the ones that are not going to be, not hit by the Nanoswarm, but that's not really going to happen. TheoRy, this army that he has made is just honestly not good enough. We're going to see Nightfall Infestation go down. There's no shroud on top of a lot of these units. FG gets dropped right now, and units are starting to die. But oh, love that. The Vulcans are going to dash right backwards. It's a long cooldown, but they stay alive. The Nano Swarm on top of everything means absolutely nothing dies. And as a Vanguard player, if you can get to this point, it is almost impossible for the Infernal to win. They need such a technical army. The problem is it's hard to get to this point. But because of the unscouted double hanger play, they were just really not. The TheoRy didn't realize in time he could not expand quickly enough. It's good on this map anyways because there's less accessible ore. And at this point, things are dead. I heard imps go down, I think on the bottom side, but it's not enough at this point. Imps are going to try to join the fray here, and they're going to get a Vulcan. That is 12 imps for a Vulcan. In theory, will fall down. Types GG a couple times to make sure that it is known, and we go to game 3. These games are pretty cool. These games are... I mean, this is probably the highest skill. This is probably the highest skill individual series that we're going to... maybe that's not fair, but one of the best series that we're going to get in this entire tournament. TheoRy is insanely good. Probe is insanely good. None of them are parting, of course. But as Albino and TheoRy have said, and Parting has said as well, Albino and TheoRy are Parting's brain, and Parting is Albino and TheoRy's hands. By the way, I didn't even notice. We're on Titan's Causeway for map 3. This map, if you want to make sure that your opponent doesn't go to a late game comp, this is how you do it. This is absolutely how you go for this. Because good luck getting a natural. I mean, look at this. Look at this thing. This is the most... This is the most wide open natural situation that I have ever seen. It is quite truly bonkers. So what this means is you cannot go as a Lancer on early trying to chase the Gaunt down. Now, Lancers are, of course, faster than Gaunts, so you really can't stop them, but second Brute's going to pop out. There's a meat farm on the high ground that will allow them to kite away as well as possible. This just single Lancer rally. A dog. Okay, that's a dog, not a proxy. But what Probe's doing here is he wants to desperately make sure that this speed camp doesn't... Oh, but I missed micro there. So this Gaunt will stay alive just a little bit longer. He wants to make sure the speed camp doesn't get taken because that gives Fiends that is a lot of power all of a sudden that we start to see out of our Vanguard or out of our Inferno players. So he's not going to be able to prevent it, but he does delay it. And, you know, as they say, violence deferred is violence denied. I don't know. Anyway, as more Lancers start to pop out, this is a little bit better. Now, these speed imps or these speed fiends are doing a nice job of body blocking, but again, Lancers just don't die easily. So that's going to be that. For now, we're going to stay on one base. Who blinks first, though? I think this is shaping up to be one base Hornet, I think. Four Bobs on Therium, nothing else being produced. This is shaping up. So you're going to have Lancers on the map. Again, this is denying the creeping of our Infernal player, at least for a while. Again, these units don't... Lancers don't die very quickly, and certainly once the Brutes get turned into imps, they don't die very quickly either, or they kill the Fiends pretty quickly as well. So this is everything that our Vanguard player is doing. He's trying to slow down TheoRy as much as possible. And in the meantime... Oh, never mind. No, he's got his natural done. He's not super mining Therium. I guess it's just enough for a biokinetics lab then, and getting the upgrade on that one. Okay, so... Minds have changed or something, I don't know, but now there's a Buzzsaw turret and TheoRy's on one base and his opponent is on 2. This is pretty slow. And that, by the way, those of you that are not familiar with this map, good. This was the pre-alpha map. This was the first map that Stormgate ever introduced. It is not quite as bad as Jagged Maw, maybe. I don't even know, but it is fast, it is aggressive. There is no way you're going to take a natural all that easily. And because this Lancer opening, this is the only reason that we've had a natural get taken by our Vanguard player. And TheoRy's not even trying, by the way. He's all in on top of this. He's got 1-1. He's going to have his natural down now, but it is extremely committed that he wants to break this down. He does not want to allow his opponent to get this natural up because, again, his natural is so slow. And for the first part, first bit of damage is there. This barracks will fall. One last Lancer gets out of it, but it's single racked production. And these Lancers are starting to get low. Remember, they cannot heal. And the surround on one of them, well, that's a big deal. So, TheoRy's not going to try to break the Buzzsaw turret. He understands that that is an exercise in futility. It's probably not worth doing. There's too much damage. So he's going to go to the main base, where unfortunately for him, there's another Buzzsaw turret. But he does force the overcharge, which means this natural is just a little bit more pressurable. Maybe. But again, with the turret here, it still is a significant problem. Four Lancers in a Scout. That's what Theory's looking at. And man, this is feeling pretty rough for our Infernal player. Again, his natural's not even done yet. His economy is such a sorry spot. But what he can do actually, and too far away, too much splash damage. I was gonna say he can maybe try to hit this habitat and kind of bounce and maybe eventually make things happen. But that's not going to be enough. We need to see something. There's no greater shrine on the way. He's not like trying to go for a quick Doombringer drop, because honestly, that even that wouldn't be all that great. We need to see something out of Theory, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but we do need to see something. And unfortunately, we're just not really seeing it. And by the way, this is another map that does not have a ton of Therium. It's got the main and the natural. Does not have a third base with rich Therium easily. I mean, you could take this base. That's it. It is rough. So now Probe is held, like convincingly held. Biokinetics Factory is done. I don't know if the Lancer upgrade is complete or just started. I was not paying attention. I didn't see. But we'll be able to see soon enough as the fight kicks off. Damage is going to get done. Lancers are going to try to dive this down, and Theory wants none of it. You understand? Yep, there we go. Okay, so the upgrade's done. We're going to see all the Gaunts get picked up. They're going to... Oh, yeah, there we go. They're all going to get picked up. Dive into the other side. Stack defense. There's one Shroud Stone in the natural. None in the main base. It's all on this Doombringer drops, and the Lancers are going to try to punish on their upgrade timing. And do we still have... Yes, we still have a Lancer in the main base. There is still a ton of barracks. These Gaunts are low, by the way. Two of them die instantaneously. And by the way, Lancers on the other side, it's one Shroud Stone. Like, it's not a lot. And yeah, Brutes do fight a little bit better. But not a ton better. Not really. And if you are if you are on good ping, or really good Vanguard player, you can actually kite once the passive procs. You can kite in such a way where your opponent, the Brutes are just never touching it. You can just kite and the Brutes are just never touching the army, kiting away over and over and over again, and you can extract some insane trades. Now, granted, Probe's not really trying for that, and he also is on ping. But the problem is here as well is, like, you got this drop. There's another... Oh, Gaunt's just not going to load up, so it's only two Gaunts back. This drop didn't get anything done whatsoever. Like, Theory is having to build a ton of Brutes. He can't mine from this Therium patch. It's too exposed. He's got this. I think he's got Implosion ready, maybe. I'm not sure. That would be my guess. He's going to just have to try to hit this time. He's got his third base on the way, but again, it's... Exos are now on the field. The Exo upgrade is on the way. It's not done yet, but it is on the way. The value of this army is starting to really start to skyrocket for our Vanguard play. There's a Weaver, and Weavers do 20% on lash, another 10% on attack. Like they can start to pick this death ball apart a little bit, but the question is really just whether it's enough. And I don't know whether it is, to be totally honest. Like, full disclosure here, Lancers are going to get on top of things. Brutes are going to start to fall down. That's a nice abduct, and one of these Exos will go down, but it gets to run away, so it's not even going to die. It just takes some damage. And now all the passives are procced. All the damage is there. And the Lancers can kite in. They can kite around. They can do whatever they want. It's a tango. It's a one-sided tango. And these imps are... Oh, man. 50 Therium right now. Going right down. Totally unused. So there is this drop on the other side. I think there's some imps in this. I think there are some imps in this. But hey, there's an Exo threat that's going to start to knock this thing down. There's an Exo as well. So... Theory has to do something with this drop. It is slowly taking damage done. There we go. There's the drop. And explosion on top of a lot of this. A lot of economy will fall. Meanwhile, imps are going to chase things back on the other side. Looks like actually significant damage was done. So the entire natural line, actually, okay. The entire natural Luminite line of Theory, or a Probe, is going to go down. Where's our drop? I think our drop is dead again. But that's a lot of dead bobs. Certainly a lot of Gaunts fell as well, but that's a ton of dead bobs. Now, third base is done, so it's not as bad as it was. And the problem here is there's 1 on Therium here, or 7 on Therium here. So like there is some Therium mining. But what you need like 4 Hellborn right now from Theory. He's fought himself right back into this game. Knocking out a third of the economy of our Vanguard player is a significant deal considering how far behind Theory was. That is absolutely true. He's now going to try to take... Oh, okay. He's going to take the rich Luminite setup here on the forward position. This is hard to hold. Just so we're clear, this is very pushable by a Vanguard player. This is very close to the Vanguard player base. Like, this is hard to hold. They kept this in there. So, of course, this map was from the pre-alpha, but you can see the sign pre-alpha, Tempires, the goats. I love that they put a bunch of Serals in the game. It's great. But anyway, so tons of Luminite mining are going to go down, which, again, is not the key resource for an Infernal player. It's all the Therium. But if you can, put out a ton of brutes, get the upgrade for the brutes, they get 10 armor, which is about 10%. It's like 9%, 9.37 or something percent damage mitigation. You can go and the brutes become a lot tankier. They get an extra fiend. They can be pretty solid. You can also spend a lot of that extra Luminite and turn it into static defense, and that also can be fairly useful. So that's maybe going to be an option for TheoRy as this game goes even later. But the thing is, he broke the back of the push. Not perfectly, but he did slow the push down as a... Okay, he's going to try to take the back... He's going to try to take the back pressure here. A bunch of mobs are going to go cut all these trees down. And this is scouted, by the way. This is known by TheoRy. The Imp's going to scout this out as well. So TheoRy should... he should know what's happening. He's going to respawn on over as this drop gets ready once again. I'm assuming this is, again, that Gaunt Fiend type of setup, but I don't know why he's cutting it down, because everything runs through anyway. every single unit can get through. Now, a bunch of... Oh, this is a bit of a mistake. Too many Fiends were ignited early, but luckily you can go and use a Hellspawn Resurgence and go and get these back again. So that's nice. Meanwhile, explosions in the natural is going to be, again, a decent economic hit once again. There's going to be a recall, and it will get out. There we go. I'm so happy that bug is gone. There was a bug that meant that... Well, I'll get vision on this. That if the Hellborn can fire from here, that's such a big deal. But there was a bug that meant that when the Doombringer took damage, it would actually go and it would cancel its recall. And it was the most painful thing. You just had to be super careful about it. So that bug fix is probably a bit of a buff. But now, where are Imps? Imps, Implosion. I hear them. Okay, they weren't in Illuminate line. I guess they were attacking from somewhere. This army of our Infernal player is starting to get bigger. Yes, this is incredibly cost efficient from our Vanguard player, and now we're gonna see System Shock again as well, trying to get on top of this Hellborn. Doesn't get it down. Not really quick enough. And now, Brute's on the front line tanking for things. We're gonna start to see a lot of damage here. It's only 2 Hellborn, so you're not one-shotting the Exos, but a Shroudstone gets manifested, and that will keep things alive for now. Meanwhile, again, command post down on the bottom side, double Luminite. We have this as well. Somehow this game's going late. Somehow this game is expanding in a way that I did not expect. I mean, TheoRy was in such a bad spot. He was in a really, truly horrible spot. But now, and Lancers are going to have to cut away. And you really want that third Hellborn. You really, really, really do. But now the Shroud's done manifestation. The bonus range on Shroud is done. It's gone. So it's a little bit easier for our Infernal player, or for our Vanguard player to push in. There is this effigy that's healing things up, but it's not going to last for that much longer. It only lasts about 60 seconds. Look at this. Sentry post on the right side. This might be to catch drops. I'm not sure. It might be just because he wants to take the right side base. Meanwhile, of course, more Therium or more Luminite on this north side. This may unlock the Therium here as well. You do have to cut these trees down, I think, for TheoRy if you really want to make sure you can take this base. Otherwise, you're getting, I think, just a little bit too close to the Vanguard player. That does feel like that is the case. But for now, the Imp, I think it sees this camp is going to get taken. Meanwhile, Fiends are finding out everything that's happening on this right side. This sentry post won't go up, by the way, which is pretty nice for TheoRy. But now Army's going to try to go onto the low ground. The Army, I mean, this SimCity makes it really hard to engage, actually, for our Infernal player. But Imps are going to go explode, and of course you kite away. System Shock and Quick Draw Hustle means that, yeah, good luck. You're not making connection with that easily. You have to hit a flank. So if I'm TheoRy, I want to see him put a bunch of Imps right here. Play on the low ground, and let his opponent attack in, flank around from behind. That is absolutely something powerful that you can do. Meanwhile, a bunch of Fiends on the right side on this run by. Overcharge slows it down. But it does mean that damage has been done, mining has been slowed down, and TheoRy does not want to take this path because that is a path to nowhere. You cannot path that way. So the Fiends are going to have to run away, and remember, this army of our Infernal player is very slow, but the map is small. So even as the army is slow, you can absolutely make something happen. Oh man, these Hellborn are exposed. Gotta cut away from this. One Magmadon's gonna have to probably, yeah, sacrifice the Magmadon. It's gonna have to go disrupt things, but that does mean this med tech gets abducted. Will go down. Very nice. Effigy drops on top of things as well. Imps are starting to join the fray right now, but the Concave from our Inferno, our Vanguard players, really solid. Imps are gonna implode, but they're just not gonna make contact. Whoa, no, they will actually, but not enough. And the Exos are still there. Well, it's not that system shock they can still catch up. It's more like they system shocked themselves into a wall, and there was nowhere to go, and they still had time left on their timer. Do not try to balance wind this. System shock units are absolutely faster. With fully procced upgrades, you're faster anyway. So Stone gets manifested, which means Atlas can't pressure as much. Double Luminite is being mined from our Vanguard player. Remember, Luminite mining is far more impactful for Vanguard than it is for Infernals at this point. So we do have, of course, have this double Therium mining set up. The problem is this game goes later and later. Again, the issue is the army is much... Where is this army? There it is. The army is just much slower for the Infernal. Just really significantly slower. It cannot position nearly as nicely. So you have, you have to be really on top of your army splits in a way that is really hard to do. And I'm like, this army, Theory's had a good economy for a while, but this army doesn't really look all that big. He's going to find this base on the right side. A bunch of Vanguards are going to try to show on up here. And Probe has now taken the spot that Theory wants. That middle of the map kind of allows for circulation. Now you have to be careful. There is room, if Theory's on top of it, to go pull a bunch of imps from this side and crash in from the backside as the fight happens at the front. But it looks like that's not going to happen. Meanwhile, a bunch of speed fiends are going to get on top of a bunch of lancers and a bunch of bobs that have overcharged, but they're getting a ton of damage done. Seems like imps as well exploded on top of things, or at least, you know, decent trades. Theory is starting to distract Probe as well as he can, trying to really mess around with things. Oh, friendly fire as well kills all the fiends, but gets some of these bobs down as well. Meanwhile, fight in the middle. That's a ton of Hellborn shots on some very, and I mean some very low exos. So the game is starting. Theory's starting to take some good fights. Not perfect, absolutely, and you have to be so careful with these Hellborn. They are by far the most expensive thing that you can have. The most impactful unit that our player has. They are 250 Therium a pop, 120, 150 Luminite a pop, but 8 supply. They are expensive, but they're like the one thing that really and truly fights this army well. Now, fiends on this base, I think they kill it before the trees go down. Yeah, these trees have not been cut nearly quickly enough, so this base will fall, and that's really good news. A shrine on the right side is going to go down. Tons of static defense as well. I don't know how much they're going to go up. Meanwhile, explosions somewhere. Where are these explosions? Okay, explosions on the north side, but it seems like the exo turret was able to deal with that one. And now this high ground position that Theory has, because he's been able to force the action on the right side so significantly, this is where he wants to be. This army is choked up. This army is really in a bad spot. The Infernal player has to back up, build a better concave, and they're not going to be able to find it. So we have Infest on top of everything. Hellborn wailing away, but the Atlas on the high ground are such a strong position, and you have to be so careful here. Again, these Hellborn cannot die, and they're bathing in the plasma zone. A Hellborn will fall, but it seems like Theory has crushed through a ton of this army. He's been able to break the right side. Of course, Shadow Flyers as well, maybe getting on top of this evac. And the position, I think, is going to get broken here in a very significant way. Dodging the Atlas shots as well as he can. Hellborn, I think that's another. No, it's going to be okay. But really cool fight from both sides, actually, as well. A bunch of mobs are going to try to mine the Therium, but there's static defense there, so it's not going to happen. And Theory's been able to establish control in the bottom right side and mine out of the upper left side. His economy, 18 minutes into this game, from a game that looked really bad at the start, is actually looking really good. Now he's got high ground position. Now, again, Atlas shots, they annihilate these Hellborn. And as much as we talk about the situation, you cannot lose Hellborn. They are by far the most important part of this army. They are incredibly expensive. Well, Dragon's 500, but the rest of it is not. And now the base is dead. So Probe has lost a ton of his... Probe is now back down. He's only mining one bob on this base. The main base is mined out. Probe is dead. What a game from Theory. My goodness.